Howdy folks, thank you for clicking on the video. Welcome to the channel, glad you're here. Also, if you're new to the channel, I hope you like the video. I hope you'll consider subscribing, even if you're not new to the channel. If you're not subscribed, just click. It's right down there. It's real easy to do. One click, you're done. Of course, you also want to hit that notification button. That way you get notified of the videos, all that good stuff. And if nothing else, just give me a thumbs up. How about that? Anyway, so super excited about today's video because of this guitar, the Epiphone 61 Les Paul SG. It is part of the Inspired by Gibson custom. And it's a step above. It certainly is a step above your standard SG. For example, right back there, I don't know if you can see it, I'm probably blocking it. I've got the Trad Pro 4. That is, yeah, that's a Trad Pro 4 back there. And I would say certainly a step above that, even though that's a great guitar. But we're talking about this guitar, and I asked the question, is it as good as a Gibson? And I didn't ask if it's the same thing. I asked if it's as good. So we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But first, we're probably going to want to check out and see, you know, what all the stats are. We'll want to hear some tone samples, all that good stuff. And then we will address that question. So let's get to it. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the specs on this guitar. And yes, I'm going to be adding a little bit of commentary, a little comparison as we go along. And let's start with the body. Two-piece mahogany top, and yes, it is a two-piece. You can see the seam running right down the middle here. I don't know if you can see that, but it's there. And here's the thing. Is this the same mahogany you're going to find on a Gibson USA or a custom shop or anything like that? No, it's not. The Asian imports from Epiphone, their wood buyers source their wood from completely different places as Gibson USA does. So not necessarily the same wood, but it is mahogany. And yeah, I don't know if you can fault this guitar for being substandard because of its different mahogany or not. That's up to you to decide. But it does... It does look the part. The wood grain maybe not as exciting as you would find on a Gibson, but that's up to you to decide. Let's talk about the neck. It too is a single piece mahogany neck, and yeah, it feels good. It's a slim taper C shape. A shape that I'm rapidly or have rapidly gotten accustomed to, not what I was familiar with before, but or used to, I guess I should say. But yeah, it looks good. It's I don't know, let's show it over here. Get it in the good light. There we go. Yeah, it feels very similar to any of the Gibson USA SGs that I've played. I don't really feel a huge difference there, so there's that. It's got a single ply binding on the top, and no, let's see if I can get a a close up here, maybe you can see there's no fret nibs there. No. Now on a Gibson, you're going to have fret nibs, and I know the tone is all in the nibs, right? Yeah, okay. Let's, and for those of you who don't know what fret nibs are, it's where when Gibson puts the binding on, the binding initially comes up to the top of the frets and then they file down in between. So you have binding that covers the ends of the frets on a Gibson. Well, Epiphones don't have that, and I wouldn't expect them to, especially not at this price point. It's you know, it costs money. It's extra time. It's extra time on the bench for them to do that, and that would raise the price of the guitars. So I really can't fault them for not having nibs. So let's move along. The fretboard is Indian Laurel. No, it's not rosewood, but at least it's not Palfaro. Fender, but yeah, it's Indian Laurel. It looks good. It could be darker, and honestly, since I've had this guitar, I haven't taken the time to put any lemon oil or anything on the frets. Probably look a little better. They could use it. They look a little dry. Next time I go to change the strings on it, I'll probably do that. So you have pearloid trapezoid inlays, and they all look good. There's no gaps. There's nothing sloppy looking in here. They all look very well done, high quality work. Graph Tech nut. I prefer bone. I'm a bone guy, but you're not going to get a bone nut on the Gibson anyway. So there's that. Let's move along and talk about the pickups here, because to me that's the most exciting thing. These are not Epiphone Pro Bucker pickups. These are Gibson pickups. These are Gibson burst buckers. In the neck, you have a burst bucker 2. In the bridge, you have a burst bucker 3. So you have your standard 2-volume, 2-tone, right down here, 2-volume, 2-tone, CTS pots, Mallory caps. They're quality parts in here. These aren't cheapy parts. It's not budget in any way, shape, or form. You have quality electronics down here. You have the Epiphone, what do they call it? Lock tone tune-o-matic bridge and stop bar here. You have the Epiphone, you know, your standard classic Epiphone tuners down here. They're not the Gibson tuners, but between the two Gibsons, I have my Les Paul Special and my my traditional Les Paul traditional. They work and feel just as nice. I have no complaints about the tuners on this guitar. On the back, just so we pointed out, you have the control plate cover. I'm going to come up here and see if I can find an angle that doesn't, yeah, there we go. You have a special control plate right there that shows that this is inspired by Gibson custom, I guess, custom shop. Obviously not built by Gibson's custom shop, it's inspired by it. In other words, they just upped the standards on this guitar. And many of the things that you'll find in a Gibson 61 Les Paul SG, reissue, I should say, you're going to find reasonably reproduced on this guitar. And you can't, I don't see how you knock it when you're talking about roughly half the price. So I'm just going to leave that there. There's one more thing I want to mention, and that is right down here. It's the case. It comes with a hard shell case. Now let's be very clear. This case is not the same as you're going to get when you buy a Gibson Les Paul or an SG or anything like that. It's not nearly the same quality. It just feels cheaper, which is understandable. It only has 3 latches, one here, and one here. I'm not sure I would throw a guitar in this case and then stick it in the belly of an airplane if I were traveling. However, it's fairly decent. It's not awful. Go ahead and show you the inside, and to me, this is kind of a downside because I don't like pink. I'm not a fan of pink. I know some people like pink guitars. I don't like pink guitars. I don't like the color pink. It ain't my color, and this is pink. But that's okay. That's fine. Yeah, nothing against you if you do like pink. I know many people do. It's just not my thing. And again, we're talking under $1,000. So you be the judge. Well, let's go ahead and hear what this guitar sounds like. All right, let's go ahead and get some tones, see what these burst buckers sound like here. And before I do, though, I know some of you are probably going to ask, Grumpy, what amp are you playing through? I'm not going to tell you. I'm keeping it a secret. It's actually something, well, not new, but it's new to me. Maybe something to simplify the recording process here. Just down the road, I'll clue you in. I may even do a dedicated video on it, but just for right now, let's just say American 6L6. Just leave it there. And like I said, keep watching my videos. I'll reveal down the road. Let's start in the bridge position and cleans. All right, let's go to the neck position. By the way, the bridge, that's a burst bucker 3, and in the neck it's a burst bucker 2. So and let's put it in the middle position, get both of them. All right, let's go ahead and check out the dirty tones here. Earthquaker Devices plumes, and I'm boosting that just a bit with the Vertex steel string. So on the bridge, get my pick in order here. In the neck. And in the middle. All right, there you go. Let me talk about this guitar a little bit. So, is it as good as a Gibson? Well, I guess that depends. I mean, if you absolutely need it to say Gibson on the headstock, well, then this isn't going to cut it. It just doesn't do that. If those all-important tone nibs mean the world to you, yeah, this doesn't have nibs, right? If you need the exact same variety of mahogany that goes into the US made version of this guitar, well, it's not. It's different, and it's probably a little cheaper wood. I would imagine. I can't vouch for that, but I would imagine it is. Yeah. So if those things mean anything to you, and you just got to have those things, then this probably isn't as good as the Gibson. However, if you just want it to play really good and sound like a Gibson, well, you may want to consider going the Epiphone route because it's half the price. And I'm not actually a little more. The Gibson version of this guitar is $2,000. This is $950. So, yeah, there's a definite savings. And what really are you losing out on? You're losing out on the name on the headstock. You're losing out on nibs. You're losing out, okay, maybe a little lesser quality of mahogany going into it. But beyond that, you got the same nut. They both use a Graphtec nut. The pickups, these are Burstbucker 2s and 3s. Well, there's just one of each, and I keep putting a plural on that. But Burstbucker 3, Burstbucker 2. In the standard version, the Gibson standard version, they're Burstbucker 60s. Now, how those two particular lines match up, I'm not really sure. I've never heard of Burstbucker 60s, but I would imagine they're very similar. They're PAF style pickups. You've got quality electronics, CTS pots, Switchcraft switch. Pretty sure it's Switchcraft. I could be wrong. If I am, by all means, correct me in the comments. But yeah, quality stuff. Mallory cap, whereas in the Gibson, I'm pretty sure it's an orange drop. You're not really going to hear that. You're just not. It plays great. It sounds really good. And honestly, I've had a blast playing this guitar. The fretwork is fantastic, as good as any Gibson I've ever played. It's just an awesome guitar. It comes with a hard shell case. So you're getting that for your money as well. I don't know. It's up to you. You can spend the money. You certainly can, and you can get that Gibson. But, excuse me, to me, I honestly feel like this really kind of is as good as a Gibson. Now, you may disagree. You may think I'm totally wrong, and I encourage you, tell me about it in the comments. Let me know why I'm wrong. I'm just going by the experience that I've had with this guitar, and it's been a really good one. So that's about all I can say about it. And with that, I'm just going to say, oh, by the way, before I go, don't forget to subscribe. I really would like to get that count up a little bit. It helps out the channel, and it encourages me. It makes me feel good, gives me a warm fuzzy. Throw me a like, all those good things. And that said, well, let's be good. Let's all just be good. Take care.